This is PhillyDroneTech with Tom Brunt. Sponsorship provided by aweber.com, getflywheel.com, and wistia.com.
Hello, welcome to another edition of Philly Drone Tech here on the phillytech.org Netcast Network. I'm Tom Brunt. Before we get started, I wanted to point you over to a new campaign that we've started here on phillytech.org. It's over at patreon.com. If you're a fan of this and other podcasts that we feature on the network, we'd like for you to help us grow, help us keep the lights on, so to speak, keep the servers running. So if you feel strongly about the podcasts that we produce here, and there's more coming on the way. If you take a look at our website at phillytech.org, you'll see that we've got all sorts of shows coming down the pike to you, aside from the regular series such as this one. So please consider donating whatever you can help out with on patreon.org, and there's a link to the website for you there. And thanks a lot. Okay, now let's start the show like I always do, and I talk about the FAA. I don't have a whole lot this particular episode to talk about. However, let me click on here. The recent news that happened is that the FAA has now, as I've mentioned, they're kind of taking the whack-a-mole approach to honoring exemptions for commercial entities to operate their drone services with extreme restrictions, including requiring a full pilot's license. But anyway, they have now granted 8 more exemptions for commercial use of drones. Of these companies, there's one here that's for flare stack inspections, whatever flare stacks are. Another one for aerial photography and surveys, and a couple more that have to do with film and television production. So again, at least that's baby steps, but we've still got a long way to go before we can get reasonable rules in place. Speaking of those rules, let me bring you to another story. I reported earlier that in my last episode that DJI, the makers of the Phantom, which unfortunately was the drone that crashed on the White House lawn, as I reported, and as you probably already know, they immediately instituted a firmware upgrade that takes advantage of what's called geofencing, which allows them to have no-fly zones incorporated into the craft so that it simply will not take off in those areas. They made a complete geofence around Washington, D.C. Well, they have since had all sorts of problems with that firmware, causing erratic flight behavior and making things a lot worse. So they immediately pulled it. And so currently you can still fly around Washington, D.C. Don't know if that's going to be permanent or not, or if they're going to try again with a future firmware upgrade. Actually, speaking of geofencing, there's more stories coming out about that there's a website that will allow you to geofence your own property. And could this be what we see in our near future? Some of the drone manufacturers like DJI are already on board with it, where you could submit your property location to them and be part of a no-fly zone where the drone simply will not fly over your property. Now imagine everybody doing this. It's very hard to fly them at all. But anyway, I'm just finding out about that, so I'm going to do some more research on that, and on the next episode of my podcast, I'm going to go more in depth about geofencing. So there we have it right there. Now let's talk about, there's been some good and bad press with drones lately. Let's talk about the good side. You may have seen this on Good Morning America. In cooperation with DJI, they took a DJI Inspire over an active volcano. And you can see here some of the footage here. They actually launched it from about a mile away. That was as close as as humans are allowed to get to this active volcano. It's about a mile away, and they flew about 200 to 300 feet over top of the volcano. Now, this was a very big success for DJI and for showing the usefulness of drones. It was a very ooh-ah kind of experience to watch this. That was kind of never before seen footage of this active volcano. And well, quite frankly, I'm impressed that the DJI Inspire was able to handle what must have been pretty impressive heat and wind conditions up there. So very good for DJI. That was a positive press for the drone industry. I'm going to take a quick sponsor break right now. When I come back, we're going to talk about what ended up not being such good positive press for the drone industry. So I'll see you in just a couple seconds. Today's show is sponsored by Wistia. Wistia is a video hosting and analytics platform that helps businesses get the most out of online video. We use Wistia here at PhillyTech.org. Flywheel, a managed WordPress hosting platform built specifically for designers and creative agencies, and helps thousands of designers across the world launch projects every day. Aweber is local to the Philly region, helping entrepreneurs, agencies, and small businesses connect with their customers through email marketing. Go to aweber.com/PhillyTech to find out more. And by Soho Mail, professional, low-cost email with business-class features and security. Okay, welcome back. Well, before I get back to talking about the bad press story I want to talk about, I can't believe I almost forgot this. Right before I started recording this, I got my present in the mail, coming direct from China. Basically, actually, a recommendation from a viewer that told me about this great little toy quadcopter from JJRC, and here it is right here. This is the new guy. This is very similar. It's about actually the same size as my SEMA back there. This is the JJRC H12C quadcopter. Now, a couple of things I'm really excited about trying this one out. And again, I just got it today, so I don't have a name for it. Don't have a face on them yet. But anyway, it has a 5 megapixel 1080p camera on it, as opposed to the 2 megapixel camera that's on the SEMA. So I'm really curious to see what the quality of the video is going to be like compared to the SEMA. The other thing it has is what's called headless mode. Unlike the SEMA and a lot of other copters, what headless mode allows you is that regardless of which way the craft is facing, if it's facing this way and you move forward on the throttle, it'll of course move forward. But if it's facing, say, this direction, and you move forward on the throttle, it will still move forward as opposed to moving this way, which can be very, very confusing for even an intermediate flyer to get used to. So I'm and it also has a return to home safety feature on it too. For $80, I'm very interested to see how that works. So you can definitely guarantee that you will be seeing, once the weather gets a little bit more hospitable here in the Philly region, I will definitely be doing a full demo of that camera and report back. It's only available in China right now, though, so it took about 3 to 4 weeks before I got it. But anyway, that's my. I'm going to be playing with that as soon as the show's over. So now let's continue on. I talked about good press coming from Good Morning America about drones. Now let's talk about the bad press, and it comes courtesy of Fox News. Not one of my favorite networks. I hate to tell you, but they are very sensationalized. They are set to engage you as a viewer, and that's all they're interested in. And here's some proof of that. They obviously, with the drone crashing at the White House, they wanted to do a segment about it. So they brought in a tech journalist from Popular Science who brought a DJI Phantom 2 into the studio, and he's talking about drone safety. If you now looking at this segment, what I talk about them trying to be sensational about it, if you notice their lower third titles, how about this one? Technological threat poses serious risks to civilians. Big Brother is hovering. Come on, give me a break. That they're just trying to create a story as opposed to just reporting about one. But they talking about safety, and the irony about this is that the tech journalist he admittedly wasn't a very good flyer, and the drone he lost orientation of the Phantom and it crashed into a camera operator. So so the irony of talking about drone safety, and it crashes in the studio. So. But anyway, that's kind of like the negative story, and I'm sure Fox just went off with it, about how dangerous they are. They mentioned about how an operator was killed a couple years ago. Well, they were killed by a powerful RC helicopter, not even close to these types of drones. No one has been killed by any of these things. But of course, they'll leave that kind of part out of the news. So anyway, that's that story there. So you have a little bit of the good and the bad, press-wise, for drones this month, and I'll keep you in touch as I see more stories, good and bad, about our technology. So now let's finish up here. Let's have a little bit of fun here. Professional golfer Jason Day, Australian golfer. He was asked to do a commercial by Adidas. Well, what they wanted to do was they suspended a small foam sign above the ground with a DJI Phantom, and they asked for him to try to hit it. Well, he was unsuccessful at hitting the piece of foam, but he was successful at hitting something. So yes, I'm not sure, that commercial doesn't kind of say whether he actually ended up killing the drone or if it came back to life with very little problems. So anyway, that's all I have for the show. One more thing I have to tell you is that right now I'm a little bit grounded right now with my big drone, my beloved DJI Phantom, Humpty D. I put him under the knife, or under the screwdriver, I guess you can say. What I'm doing is what's kind of popular if you have a Phantom 1 and you're an enthusiast. You basically upgrade it. You put it in a Phantom 2 shell and put Phantom 2 propellers on it. That there's more space in there. More space for bigger batteries that can double my flight time, and for some other things, such as I'm going to have a telemetry display now on my viewfinder when I fly. So right now, as you see, here's some video here of me working on it in progress, and I'm fully documenting it. So in coming weeks, I definitely intend to show you the full documentation. So if you have a DJI Phantom 1, and you kind of know your way with electronics a little bit, and you're a little adventurous. It certainly has been an adventure for me so far, but he will. I have done some tests so far and have them mostly back together, and he will fly again. So I'm just looking forward to the weather improving. Middle of winter in this harsh Philly region, the best time to take the drone apart and do the upgrades on it, since I can't fly them anyway. So anyway, that's all I have for this show. And again, I want to encourage you, if you like what you see here on this podcast network, please consider going over to patreon.com and consider financially supporting our goal and our mission here of providing you with great, informative, tech-based podcast and information based in and about the Philly region. So, and again, if you want to get in touch with me, you can please feel free to follow me on Twitter. You see my address there at DroneGuyTom, or you can send me an email at droneguy@tebweb.com, TEBWEB.com. And I hope to hear from you, and let me know what you think, any questions that I can answer. I've done a couple of those already in shows, and hope to see you next time.